All right, why don't we start? Shane? Take it away.
Sorry. Okay, so just the agenda I've got tonight, we've got some admin actions, some meeting minutes and invoices to approve. Then we get straight into the design development estimates. We'll look at the project budget, the project schedule. And then earlier on this morning, I sent out an additional services request that we received this morning for some HVAC work. So first matter of business is the meeting minutes of July 15th for the public safety building.
Hey, Joe.
Do I hear a motion?
Joe, one quick question. Don't we need to do attendance or roll call? So he knows who's here?
I know who's here.
Yeah, I know, but Shane doesn't for the minutes.
I think I have it, Chip.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm happy if you want to do it, but I think I got everybody.
as long as you got everybody. I move that we approve the July 15th, 2021 minutes as written.
I second.
Thank you, Jason. Any discussion? Hearing none, are there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none, the minutes are approved unanimously.
Thank you. Second item is the public safety building invoices for the month. We've got two invoices totaling $29,320.62. The first one is from Left Field for $10,000.
I move that we approve the left field invoice number 9 for $10,000.
And I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip? Chip, wait a minute. Chip?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Phil? I thought I saw Phil's Brenzy group on. Phil?
He's here.
Yep.
Okay, I think that was yes. Tim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
All right, did I miss anybody that came on?
Mark.
I got Mark.
I just came on, but I don't know what you're voting on, so.
Oh, Janet, it's for the invoice of Left Field for the month of July for $10,000.
No, I'm in favor.
All right,
Yes.
it's unanimous, Shane.
Thank you.
There's your roll call, Shane.
I got everyone. I think we're full attendance of the voting members tonight.
I move that we approve HKT invoice number 7-0222023 for the sum of $19,320.62.
I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
unanimous.
Great, thank you. I've included the Left Field bill for the high school. Joe, I'm not sure if we can vote on this tonight. If we could,
Yeah, we can.
appreciate it.
We're the voting members of the school building committee, so I don't see a problem there.
So this is for the OPM services for the high school for the month of July, $15,000.
Did we have this in the packet?
I think it was in the package, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I must have missed it. So this is for 15,000?
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
Invoice
I
number
move-
3.
And it's invoice number 3?
Yeah,
I move that we approve invoice number 3 for the high school project for the sum of $15,000.
All right. I will second that.
any discussion?
I'm just, it says it's for the feasibility phase. I'm just wondering, is Left Field doing the feasibility study? I thought that was I don't understand what the 15,000 for feasibility.
That's the terminology we have to use for the MSBA because it's a feasibility study / schematic design. Right now we're still in forming the team, but that's not a billable category under MSBA. Feasibility study is a billable category. So this is for receipt of all the architect's applications, distributing those to the MSBA, to the town's members for reviewing those for attendance at the meeting, and other work we did in the high school this month.
And we've
Okay,
already,
thank you.
we already approved 22,000 in the same category.
Right.
And their
Well, you can
Yeah, I
budget's
missed- I would've asked-
375,000.
Yes,
Yeah, I
you-
saw that. I just missed it in the first time around. I get it about the categories and the names, and you have to put in it somewhere. So, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Janine?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. And then our next item tonight is the DD estimates. So we issued the DD documents to the estimators about a month ago. We got those back 2 weeks ago. We reconciled. I sent the detailed estimates out to everybody with the preview of tonight's presentation, but this is a summary. The bond estimate came back at 7.725 million. The HKT Tutora cost consultant estimate came back at just under 7.7 million. There's just $26,000 difference in that, so it's less than 1%. So the estimates were reconciled. They're very close, and this is where we came out. The bad news is that having done the SD estimate, where we had come back to the committee a few months ago with some value engineering items and brought the project back onto budget, we are now over budget at DD stage. This is a side-by-side comparison. We can go through it in detail, but if you look at the bottom there, variance with the construction budget, at SD, we were under budget by $24,000, excluding the VE items, which we were going to put back in as alternates. At design development, which we just did, we are over budget by just over $900,000. So I'll open it up there, Joe, for discussion, comments.
Yeah, the first
Well,
thing I'd like to ask is, I reviewed these documents and some of the more specific things, and I had, like, so the air handler unit number one went from 88,000 to 281,000, which is an incredible number from April to August. And I really wanted to get an understanding of the drivers behind all this increase, so that when we seek further funds, we'll have that information before us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think, the market continues to be very volatile. This is a smaller project. We talked about the scale of it before, and not being sure what the level of interest will be from subcontractors. So that's definitely pushing it. It was an extended conversation when we reconciled the estimates between the bond estimators and HKT and Jerry Tutora, Janet's estimator. But maybe we have, I believe we have Justin from Bond on tonight. So maybe Justin, you can, give us an update or an explanation of what's happened and where we think this is going.
Sure. Yeah. And as you noted, the difference in pricing in that alternate breakout value is substantial, and it represents more than just escalation, which the basic job change is reflective of. But in the case of these alternate values going from schematic to DD, clearly there was a fundamental change in our understanding of what those breakouts were intended to represent. What's not on here is the TCI values for these alternates, which you'll see are in the same ballpark as the values that we've got in here for the DD values on these. I will need to go back to the previous definitions on what the SD estimate had, trying to outline what was intended to be captured in those alternates. I apologize, I don't have that in front of me. But I can certainly do that and provide a better understanding, because this change in value is significantly more than just the escalation. There was a change in what at least we were understanding was to be part of the alternate.
Now, are these
Um,
estimates that you gave also, are these calculated to a March 2022 date?
Yes, we were applying additional escalation on the bottom line to
What?
get us to the purchasing time. Yeah.
What additional escalation did you use?
Let's take a look.
So I think just to clarify, it's a November bid and a construction start in March.
Yeah, but some of these construction are, it's not just some of the, there's other things besides the bids.
Sure.
I just wanted to know what those escalation was that was being used.
So we carried an additional 3% escalation. That's what we reconciled to at the end. So that escalation represents further price changes from what we were attempting to capture as the price changes we've been seeing, as crazy as they are in the last few months. Based on our conversations with folks, although there may be certain categories that are able to come down in the future as things move forward and the market stabilizes, we felt it was prudent to apply a more historic escalation norm, even moving beyond here, just with the anticipation that we didn't think it would be a wise choice to anticipate prices coming back down as things move forward and hopefully the markets start to get back together.
So other questions?
Can I ask? Yeah, Joe, it's Phil. I have a question about the AHU units on this. Are the estimates, one, what changed about your idea of those units between schematic and estimate? My understanding is it was replacement all along. Was it the size of the unit, logistics? Like what caused it to almost triple on those three units?
Those are very good questions. I apologize. The alternates wasn't something I did my homework for before coming to today's meeting. I hadn't seen this change here. So I will look that up and get you an understanding of what it was that we were seeing differently from one to the other.
So
It wasn't simply a size change, for example.
Yeah.
And it was an escalation.
If I can jump in, I've talked to David Capalla, who apologized. He's on vacation this week, so he's not on tonight. We did look at some of the logistics and how we were going to lift these units off the roof and replace them. So there was some cost involved with that, including bringing in a temporary unit. Obviously, you can't be without an air handler for a prolonged time. So the logistics that we spoke to David and the construction team, not necessarily the estimating team, was that we bring in a temporary unit that we would hook up while rooftop unit, that's rooftop unit number 1 is being replaced. When that's in, we would move that temporary unit to rooftop unit number 2, which is in the base. When that unit's replaced, we would move it to rooftop unit number 3. So there was some additional costs for that sort of construction sequencing and logistics included. But as Justin said, it's not the full value.
Yeah. Are you including that in each way, like each AHU, assuming that you would do that by itself? And so there's crane and mobilization costs for each one, not
Correct,
because you don't know if all of them or more than one would be done. So you have to. Is that it too?
I believe it was lifting them, three separate times, the 3 separate crane days. It wasn't lifting 3 of them in one day. Yeah.
and so that temporary rental is apportioned to each one. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess,
it's just
Joe,
such a striking distance. I don't know. Distance of prices. I don't understand what was missed the first time, but I appreciate any info. Thanks for looking into it, Justin.
Absolutely.
I guess just as an overview, we knew we were over by 910,000 the first time through and made all these alternates. Now we're over again. A, I'm not shocked we're over. B, it is my opinion that we should go back to the town meeting for 2.3 million more and have no alternates and do the project right. And don't try, as far as I'm concerned, Town meeting put us in this position. Town meeting can get us out of this position. And town meeting should correct it. It's not our fault or our job to try to find money now. You know, they delayed this thing 3 years. We could have had it built and done for 8 million 2.5 years ago. So as far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't be jumping through hoops to try to hit a number that doesn't make sense now. That, you know, we can look at 1,000 here or 2,000 here, or, you know, we need to understand the numbers, but in my opinion, we take everything out of alternates. We say, this is what we want to build and this is what it's going to cost, guys. You put us here, get us out of here. That's my opinion.
Chip, I totally agree with your opinion and totally support that. Otherwise, we're going to be hearing the same complaints in a couple of years that, you know, we didn't do it right, you know, 10, 20 years ago. We're just going to have the same negative feedback from the town. So I want to do it right this time for sure.
How does
Any
that
other
affect the
thoughts?
schedule?
Say that,
Oh,
Phil?
that's another conversation. No, if we have to go back to town meeting in the fall, does that affect this overall schedule? Like, you know, can we approve things without having the money for them?
Well, for one, we've pushed the start date of the project to March. So the November town meeting doesn't hurt us as much as if we were trying to start in December.
I also,
I
Some of
think
the
I'd
argument,
let the
some of the
team
argument to do that was lead time on materials too. So you know, if we're going to do mechanical or Sally port or whatever, it's, you know, part of the reason I think was not a big of delaying it was to help with these crazy lead times and product availability. So it's
Well, it was
just, you know,
also
we
so-
should really understand these alternates, and if we're going to go to the town, make sure we've whittled this number down and sharpen our pencils to ask for as little as possible to be able to do all this. But I agree.
I'm in the direct opposite, ask as much as we can get.
well, I'll compromise in between. I talked to Shane. The bids were going to go out in October, the sub bids, correct, Shane?
Yeah, I can jump to the schedule. So
I
we
talked
expected,
to Shane and changed the dates from the getting our bids in. If we got our bids in the beginning of November,
right,
we would then, instead of the 10th of November or whatever, between 10 and 18, if we got them in the beginning of November, we would have sufficient enough time to have actual, not just estimates, but actual bids when we go to the fall town meeting in November. And I think that makes a lot of sense with some of these items. We'll know exactly how much we're going to be able to cost and not just estimates.
So would you keep them as alternatives or would you just bid them as the total package? Because I don't want to get the town meeting going, oh, we should replace all, we can't have the discussion in town meeting as to what alternates get picked and don't get picked.
No, what I'm talking about is getting the bids in though.
right.
Right, but do we keep them as alternates or do we put them as part of the package?
I don't see why we would keep them as alternates. I think
I-
we just did them.
I would
Put them
agree. I
in the
think-
base bid and
Put them in the
bid it
base.
all as one. I
Yeah.
think you get better pricing.
I would agree.
Yeah, that's my view.
We've already
And then
whittled
we'll-
down. We've already whittled. Yeah.
Go ahead, Phil, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, we've already whittled the alternates down to this short list. So this adding this short list back to the base scope makes a lot of sense because we designated these as a high priority alternate already.
Correct. And I figured that if we get the bids in by the beginning and we have them in hand by the beginning of November, by the time we went in front of town meeting in the, you know, it's usually in the middle or, you know, the 10th of November, somewhere around there, we'll have those numbers. It won't be an estimate and people can't say, well, gee, these are just estimates. How do you know what it's really going to be? We're going to know what it's going to be. And we'll have definite numbers on the, at least on the sub bids. What do you,
Yep. How do you get the warrant? How do you get the warrant article in time? Don't you have to get the warrant article asking for the money?
You don't ask for the money in the warrant article. You ask for that in the motion before town meeting. The warrant article.
All my all my projects, the bids are coming in late. People are asking for more money. So I'm on the line that, you know, we can't shorten the bid period if we need it earlier. Just we have to allow these contractors as much time to collect prices as possible. So I agree with getting it and all those dates. Just October 20th to early November is not a lot of time for people to put a bid together for a project like this, in my opinion. But
I think I think we have to move that October 20th to make it early, a week earlier. All we're talking about is a week here.
yep,
One of the benefits of putting it in as a complete and total package is logistically, we can schedule it out so that there's an acceptable and agreeable sequence that respects seasonal, to minimize the downtime or the makeup, or we have a definitive plan for whatever those temporary measures are to keep operations going. And it's not bid as an alternate. So that would all be in our bid instructions about the exact and detailed schedule for lead times on the units and the sequencing of the units and their impact on our operations.
Joe, I don't think that there's a date for town meeting yet, but last year it was November 7th, just as,
Right.
something to think about.
Usually about the second week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually the second week in November. And that's what I was saying. If we get it in the first week of November, we'll have the bids in hand. And then when we go before the town meeting, we'll have a more exact number than just estimates. And I think that'd be a little sure of getting it approved. Let me say that way, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. What do people think?
I agree with everything Chip said, except for we don't know what this would have been constructed for with the first vote, so I wouldn't use that as an argument in public forum in a town meeting. It probably would have been, so that's the only comment I have, but
I
Chip,
would have,
99%, I'm on page with you, and I agree with Chip.
I totally agree with you, Phil. I wouldn't make the argument as strongly as I did, but it just kind of pisses me off to no end that, we're in this case because somebody wanted to relook at something we had already looked at 3 times. I mean, I'm getting old and a little pessimistic too, so.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, we would have been in construction during probably the heat of COVID, and there could have been a delay. Who knows what could have happened? It could have ended up being more expensive than this, for all we know. So,
Good point.
So what do people think about this moving the schedule a week earlier? Is that all right
Well,
with everyone?
Yeah, so I haven't.
You better ask Janet if she
Yeah,
can get that.
It's going to have a look at Janet, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that, but because we have been compressing the schedule quite a few times, so I have to get back to everybody. I think I agree that having no alternates is a great idea. I think you get better bidding. I think, the time, but I got to go back to everybody. I'm hoping that a week doesn't do it. I would imagine what would happen is they'll say, we'll shoot for that date, and then we'll have a big addenda during bidding, which happens all the time anyhow.
Yeah.
But, as long as you're going to understand that, I think, I'll go to them tomorrow, find out. So, but, we got to work with you to get this through. So we got to figure it out.
I just feel that if we had the bids in, we're going to have a better chance of getting approval at town meeting when.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I've gone with the bid in hand, it's been a pretty easy sell. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Okay.
Any other discussion regarding the estimates?
Shane, does that cover the discussion you wanted to have as to what's the direction you wanted to go?
It does, yeah. We'll continue to carry our budget of 9.6 with the understanding that, we're going to go back to town to ask for additional funds. So maybe I'll talk to Joe offline about how we sort of report that between now and town meeting. We don't want to give the impression that we're on budget and continue to show this. So I'll talk to Joe about how we want to sort of report out the project budget as we move forward.
I think we show that we're not in.
Right.
That we show that we're not. That
So
we're now is 2.3 a kind of number that you feel comfortable with it? I don't know exactly which document I saw that in, but I thought that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're increasing the construction by about 20%, maybe we want to look at the construction contingency also, Chip. We were carrying about,
Absolutely.
we were carrying 6.5% on the 6,800,000. So maybe we want to, increase the construction contingency prorated with where we are with the construction cost now, continue to carry that 6.5%, rather than that shrink down because we're over budget. Other stuff I've been working with Lieutenant Rubelet on furniture and equipment. We've started to get proposals for that. That seems to be coming in on budget. So, the other categories, I think we're fine. But if we're gonna move the construction cost, I think we should look at construction contingency too.
I would agree, because we did slice that.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to all the things we did to get that 900,000 and put them back in at this point.
Mm-hmm.
FFE came down, I think. What's the next steps now that we have the estimate? What happens next with this project in terms of, big picture things, like what's going on besides the details and stuff?
So we're moving forward. As I said, the discussion started on furniture. I'm going up there next week to meet Lieutenant Rubelow. I'm meeting a furniture vendor as well. We got proposals in for the radio equipment for dispatch. We got proposals in today. I haven't looked at them in detail yet for the dispatch furniture. Janet and her team are continuing with the design. We've reached out to the building committee or the building inspector about the zoning. We may have to go to zoning because we're non-conforming at the moment, but we're going to continue to be non-conforming. I already talked to is it Ben DeCristofaro about that. He said it should be no problem, but it's just a procedural thing we have to do, so we got to do that. And just continue with the design. I'll talk to Janet about getting that design schedule down and getting the bid documents as soon as we can, so we can get out to the street. Other things we're doing, I've been going back and forth with Bond on the trade contractor RFQ for their pre-qualification. I got David's comments last week, so I'm going to finalize that, and we'll advertise that in the next week or two. So that will come in, and we'll work on that in the next month or 6 weeks. There's a lot of stuff going on, Phil.
Phasing logistics. Shane and I were going to meet with the PD, I believe next week or the week after, talk about that and query checks and all that good stuff.
Correct. Yeah, Bond did issue kind of another round of their logistics plan and their schedule based on the DD drawings. So we're going to try and meet with the police department, make sure that works with them, look at where they have to move temporarily within the building, who has to move when that happens. So we've been working on all of that stuff too.
Yeah, we need to meet, to go through, fine tune the cabinetry and the layouts of all those details, with the end users. So we need to schedule that too. So
this is a question, again, my first big project like this with the town. Are HKT, who's like collecting furniture options for the police or the fire to look at? Like, do you present options and then people pick? Are you asking like the police department, do they have to go out and look for the stuff on their own, or
no? So
doing that, or what's the process for that?
So the police department has a furniture rep that they go to when they need to buy a chair, a desk, or filing cabinets. So myself and Lieutenant Rubelow have come up with a schedule of furniture that we think we need to replace. That's what I'm going out there next week to actually walk the building with Lieutenant Rubelow to look at the furniture, see, can we in actual fact, reuse some of it, and what it absolutely needs to be replaced. So we sort of have that schedule, Philip. We know we need, I don't know the numbers, we need 15 desks, we need 25 filing cabinets, we need 40 chairs. So we're going to, just fine tune that list, and then we're going to meet the department's furniture rep. We'll buy all the furniture from the state bid list, so we don't have to go out to bid. The state bid list, there's certain furniture you can buy without bidding competitively. It's all approved by the state already. You can go directly to these vendors and buy it. So that's how we plan to do that.
Yeah.
So Shane, are you, I guess Phil's question is, are you in my other projects, a person out of the architectural firm has coordinated that? Are you and your group coordinating the FF&E?
We've been coordinating that up to now, Chip. Yeah, so we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we can be involved if you need. I think, you know, we do that for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
we typically do it. So I'll talk to Shane because it does have ramifications for power and, you know, where we place things and all that. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other questions regarding the estimate or the budget? Hearing none.
So again, the schedule will work with HKT and we'll try and whittle that down to save a week or two. You know, if we can get that town meeting date, that would be very helpful. The sooner we can get that, the better.
It may not be set yet, so we may.
No, I don't think it is.
So Joe, you may be able to play a little bit of influence on that date.
Yeah, take the latest date you can get out of them, you know, so.
I mean, is it typically the second Saturday or the first Tuesday after?
Tuesday. Well, I don't know. Will it be
Yeah.
Saturdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays again, Joe?
That's a good question.
They probably don't know yet.
Yeah,
We're
they
typically Tuesday and Thursday nights.
Well,
We've been in the field house now and they kind of like that. So I don't know.
and it might be a Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the first Saturday is the 6th of
Joe.
November. So if it's the second Saturday, it'd be the 13th of November.
That would be
Joe.
nice.
If I can interrupt for a minute, I believe it's Saturday, the 6th. The date's been set.
Oh,
Oh, no, really?
oh, no.
When did they set it?
Well, it's not set in stone, but that's the date that's been picked.
All right, Tom, do you have any influence to talk to the chairperson of the?
Just have the chief say he's busy that day and just say, listen, we're busy. Can you schedule it for the next Saturday?
Yeah, Tom?
Well, I could talk to the chairperson and see how she feels.
Yeah, could you, let's find out your influence, Tom.
All right.
I don't think they officially voted on it at a town council meeting yet, so
Right,
there's
I
still
don't think
hope.
they have either, so
Yeah.
that's why let's talk, if Tom, you could talk to Julie, see if we can convince her that the 13th is a lovely time for a meeting.
It'll be a better weekend.
It's a much better weekend than the
Okay.
6th. Yes.
Okay.
Joe, why don't you go to Steve too?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, and then just the final item I had for tonight was we got a proposal from Bond this morning or yesterday. I sent it out to everybody this morning. This is to do some testing on the HVAC in the building, and we're reusing a lot of the ductwork. We thought we might be reusing some of the air handling units and rooftop units, but this is to go in and check the airflows of the ductwork. You know, make sure that the air is getting through the ductwork as expected, and that it has the capacity. The ductwork has the capacity to extend to allow for the 3,000 square foot addition we're doing.
Okay, so Shane, to that end, this seems like a huge number for that. If you take their hourly rate of $170 an hour on regular time, that's more than 150 hours. That makes sense to you?
It doesn't, Chip. I think it's a little expensive. You can see we did get two proposals and one company declined to do it. You know, I think it's probably a week, at least 5 days for two guys, which is 80 hours. And then to put together the report, it is a pretty extensive report. You know, so probably $3,500 to do that. And then there's, you know, the overhead and profit. It is expensive, but that's sort of what Bond was able to get. We reduced.
Can we go back at them?
Chip, in light of the fact that we may be looking to get the whole thing thing done, why are we going to do this now?
Well, you still need to know whether the ducts have the capacity that I think that.
Isn't that done when the people bid for it and part of their bidding?
No,
the bidders
Not a
don't do
rehab.
that. Yeah.
No. This was a recommendation in the original HVAC review of the building, Joe, that one of the recommendations that Left Field pointed out was this one, that they asked us to do the air hydronic testing on the existing system. So
Yeah, Joe, this goes way back to March, maybe,
Yeah.
where it was brought up. So,
My question is, does the scope change now that we're putting everything into the package? Does that
Right.
change anything?
Yes.
I brought that question up myself because they were going to test rooftop unit number 2, which we were always going to replace. So I think we can go back and ask that question. We can push back like that. But the engineers looked at this. I spoke to the engineer this morning. They recommend approval of this. So maybe, if we can get approval of this not to exceed, and we can go back to THB, the contractor, and see can we reduce the scope further to exactly what we need. We'll work with GGD the engineers, before we award this. But some sort of testing is required.
When does this have to be done?
Now.
We would rather do it before we go out to bid.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it could
Now
be
to make sure that
Yeah.
what we're
So-
planning works.
So we were
Correct.
looking at doing it in September.
Yeah, we told these
Yeah,
guys September.
I'm not against doing it. I'm against the price. So I'm glad Shane, you also
Yeah.
thought it was a little high. To me, it sounds like, hey, if we get it, we'll do it. We'll make a lot of money on it. If we
Yeah,
don't, it's no big deal. I'm afraid that there's gonna be a lot of that during this project.
Correct. And I probably think like you too, Chip, as soon as I see it, I try and work up, how do they get to that number? How many hours? What are they doing? What's the equipment? What's the material? And I've talked to Dario and Dave about that too. But they've gone back a couple of rounds with these guys. We reduced the scope and this is where it's sort of come out.
Jay looked at the proposal and he also thought it was a little high and gave some suggestions on different things you could do to reduce the cost. So maybe if you did a not to exceed, and we could, try to work with bond to get the cost down.
What is the number here? I'm having a hard time reading.
32,000.
Here, 31,912.
So that's all in. That's Bond's number and everything.
That includes supervision and markups and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chip, Shane, does that include the question that Ben Miller had about the VAV boxes? Not, or does not?
It does. I talked to Ben this morning. I talked to Dario. So they're going to take the reading in the fully open position.
Okay.
To the max CFM.
So it's
Okay, great.
basically
I
they're
thought
just
that-
taking the reading of whatever the town's controller sets it at, and they'll just
Should
read
be
off of that.
fully open.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fully
because
open.
I thought they weren't checking VAVs.
Correct. That's what I was wondering.
They're not going to check how the VAVs are functioning, but I've talked to Joe Conway. Joe will give us one of his guys to manipulate the controls to make sure the VAVs are open 100%.
All right.
But nobody's going to go to each VAV and see if it's working correctly.
Yeah, there's no diagnostics being ran.
And is that because we figure once all that is done, the VAVs will pretty much be replaced?
Well, the VAVs in areas that we're not touching are not being replaced, Chip. We are replacing them in all the renovated spaces. One of Jay Faxon's comments was, when the controls guys are manipulating these, he should check how the controls are working also.
Right.
So these VAVs are operating correctly and the valves are opening.
Yeah.
As long as you talk to Ben and you feel comfortable, I think that's a good move then. So.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a suggestion of not to exceed number?
Yes, I move that we don't exceed 31,000 for this work. I make a motion that we do it, let them negotiate, and we move not to exceed 31,000.
31,912.
If you guys can't get 192, then you're in trouble.
Right.
All right. There goes Bond's fee.
All right, Jason accepted. And any other discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine?
Yes.
All right, unanimous.
I did have a question, Joe, now that we've accepted this.
Now
In the
you have
future,
it, right?
in the future, Shane and group, I'd love to know what budget this is going against and what we have left in it. I know this is the first one,
Right.
but what is our budget for this type of stuff? Where is it going?
Right. I look at it, Chip, I think we can take this out of the commissioning budget.
Okay.
We haven't engaged a commissioning agent yet, and this is, probably falls under that testing and commissioning. So I look at that, but that's where I would expect it to come out of.
Okay, so in the future, when we present something, let's know what budgets it's coming out of and what was spent in that line item and what's left remaining, and does that make sense?
Sure, yep.
That would be helpful for me.
All right, anything else on the HVAC testing, balancing? All right, Shane, anything else?
That was it for me tonight. I did have the website for the high school. We had a good meeting yesterday. That's going to be ready to launch tomorrow. I can give you guys a preview if you want, or if you want to just leave it to the high school meeting. Whatever you want, Joe, if you have a few minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought I could. So, okay, so
Well, while you're clicking,
It's
while
not
you're
launching tonight, it's launching tomorrow.
yeah, while you're clicking and finding it, Shane, I just want to let everybody know that, Tuesday before last, the MSBA had a designer selection panel on August 3rd, and the 3 companies that were voted to be interviewed are SMMA,
Ruthie, stop.
Arrow Street, and Fine Gold, Dora, and Whittier. SMMA had 26 votes. Arrow Street had 18, and Dora and Whittier and Fine Gold had 6. But those 3 are the 3 that will be interviewed coming up Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. by the MSBA.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So can people see the screen, the website?
Nope.
Let me stop sharing and maybe share again. No?
There we go.
Yeah. So this is our homepage. Just listed. We're just going to use Wakefield Memorial High School building project to sort of to identify the project. On our homepage, we've given a project overview of where the high school, the history of the project, what the high school was before it was a high school, the facilities assessment that was done in 2016, getting accepted into the MSBA program, and where we are now with the feasibility study. We're going to include a timeline and a status also. People can scroll down and see where we are. So we start at the statement of interest, through the eligibility period, the feasibility study, the agreement with MSBA, hiring the OPM, and where we are currently, which is the designer procurement. So we'll update that after next week too. So that's our homepage. You can see on the right-hand side, and this will expand, but right now we'll have a full schedule of upcoming events. We'll plug in future building committee meetings, any public presentations, and all events related to the high school project here. So when people go, the first thing they can see on that right-hand side is the list of events. We've also set up a contact us email address. So if you click on that, it will go straight to an email, people's web browser, so that the emails will go to either Lynn or I, and we'll coordinate that and get answers back for anybody who's answers on it. We've also put together a frequently asked questions on this page. Just what is the high school project? Why do we need one? People click on this, they get the answer here. Parties involved, the MSBA process, where can I get more information? That is the website on it. And if I have questions, again, that email we've set up for the project. So that's our homepage. Project team. We've just listed the team members right now, the Permanent Building Committee and School Building Committee, what they do, what their role is. We have links back to the Permanent Building Committee. I hope this will go to. Maybe it's just not done yet. Mass School Building Authority, who they are, their role in it, left field. And then we'll add the designer once they're on board there under the project team. Project schedule tab. Again, we go through the MSBA process. I think folks have seen this graphic before. Where we are now, we'll continue to update that as we move through, give an explanation of the MSBA modules here. And then again, we have one of these graphics that just show the different modules and where the milestones we hit through each module are. So we'll continue to update that as we go along and show people the bits. Meetings and events, people can click on that, and that will show once we have meetings set up and public forums, we'll plug those in. This will be where people can go back and look at previous meeting minutes, previous meeting presentations. So we'll have that all up by tomorrow, all the previous meetings we've had and any future meetings. And then finally, just the documents. This is just a library of where we're going to have stuff. So under our eligibility period, some of the documents that have gone back and forth with MSBA, statement of interest, initial compliance cert, the ed profile, the maintenance document, and the enrollment certification. Forming the team, the OPM approval letter from MSBA, we'll upload the designer approval letter. And then as we get into feasibility and schematic, we'll put all the documentation under those that people can go to and look at anything that goes to MSBA during the project. And then again, we just have that frequently asked questions tab there. Thought we also have.
And scroll all the way to the bottom and there's some glossaries and.
Yeah, I was going to look for that. So maybe we can put this somewhere more prominent, but we have a shortcuts that people can scroll to, the Glossary of Terms. You guys are probably used to some of the acronyms now, but there's a lot of them out there. So, we're just going to have a Glossary of Terms, the PBC, the Permanent Building Committee, the SBC, the MSBA, PSR is part of the feasibility study, the SD. So just to give people who are not familiar with the process and haven't been through it before, what some of the acronyms are. There's so many of them. So that's it. As I said, we'll go live tomorrow or Monday before the designer is, and then we'll update it again when the designer is on board, and we'll announce that next week.
Any questions?
I have to play ignorance. Does the public safety building have a similar one?
So we went out to a professional firm to get this done, Chip. So this is going to be our template. So as soon as we launch this, Left Field is going to continue to use that company and this template for all our projects. So we'll launch this, and then we're going to do the same setup for the public safety building. So public safety will follow in a couple of weeks, but we wanted to try and be consistent with all the Left Field websites. We went out and we got an actual web designer to do this, and we spent some time with them.
I remember that conversation.
Yep, we tried to take that ask seriously, Chip and Joe, and we wanted to roll the high school out first and then come back with the public safety. So we're on it.
Good. I think this looks really great, guys.
Great.
No offense, Lynn.
Hey,
Hey, Shane, I got a quick question. Janine
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
I might be breaking up a little bit, but will there be a link on the Wakefield website to this website?
There is. I've been working with Jennifer McDonald. I don't recall what her title is, but she's the Wakefield's public representative. She does all the PR for the town. So we're working with her. Right. There is a link on this to the town website, and there's a link on the town website to this too. So people can go back and forth.
Yeah, we provided all those links at the bottom there.
Yeah. So there's the link that goes back to the PBC website, and there is this is what Jennifer has been working on with the town. So there are the different links there.
I am a Wakefield citizen with children in the school system. So a lot of my friends are also the number one and two questions just are, when's the school going to be built and when do we take a vote? So this timeline is great, but in the bigger, like on this other page, you show like the full timeline and here you are. I wonder if something like that could be moved somewhere, because my bet is most people like that.
Right.
And I know we don't have dates, but any, you know, that seems to be like when people find out I'm on this committee and ask, it's like, oh, when are we getting the new high school, or how do I vote? You know, and then that they want to know, and then they go away, you know. So like,
Phil,
just mentioned it.
the dates are shown on that timeline below, and as soon as we know the date for you know, once we get schematic design and we know the date for the town meeting that they're going to approve it, we'll keep adding on to it, because I
No, I
think
get it.
module 5 is funding the project, and we'll
Yeah,
keep adding the dates as we know them.
if you keep on scrolling down, does it go to the whole timeline or just where we're at? That's, I guess, more my questions. Shane had it up for a second. The other thing, the little green boxes that look like a snake, like that's the graphic I was saying I think would be helpful, maybe in conjunction with this, which is great, you know, to show the overall. This is
The
where we are.
MSBA process.
Yeah, the one you just had,
Right,
Shane, that had all this.
that timeline below shows
the
the
one.
dates for the modules that are indicated here. As we know them, that timeline below, if you scroll down, it gives the dates for each of the modules and the events that happen in those modules.
Okay, so when you scroll over the thing.
Yeah, you see,
Maybe the answer Phil's ask is up at the top on the snake thing, where building occupancy is the star. You could put like an estimated,
Sure.
you know, 2027 or whatever year that is, right?
Yeah, we can put
Maybe
something
that could
like
be
this
that.
over here. Yeah.
You know, then it's right up there for people.
Yeah. You know, we'll also, you know, put that we're going to continue to expand on the FAQs. So that will obviously be one question that we add to the FAQs is when will the town vote, when will the school open? But right now they just refer to sort of where we are and what we've done.
I guess my only other question, I know it'll be on the town website, a link. Will it be on the school department website? Because they have a whole separate website for the school department. People might go there looking for information as well.
It will be. So I believe Jennifer serves both the town and the school. She does all the media for both. So there will be on both.
Great.
Any other questions regarding the website?
Looks good.
Shane, I have one question.
Sure, yeah.
The designer is going to be selected on Tuesday.
Yeah.
How long do we as a committee have to negotiate with the designer for, and what are we negotiating for? Just the schematic? What is the next step?
So it's to negotiate a fee for the feasibility and schematic. So up to that town vote. I'm not aware of a time limit on it, Joe. Obviously, we want to, you know, negotiate and.
I remember the MSBA says that there's a time limit. If you're unable to finalize an agreement with the architect, you go to the next one.
Right. I'd have to check what that time limit is, but that's going to be the next comment. If we can't agree with you know the number 1 ranked firm, we have to move to the number 2 ranked firm.
Right.
I'll double check what that if there is a time limit on that, but obviously we want to get going as soon as possible with a view again to getting to the end of the schematic for that fall town meeting in 2022.
When you say you want to do that as soon as possible, I mean, I would assume the architect design firm is going to want to negotiate as soon as possible, and we're going to have a meeting to confirm those negotiations.
We will have to have a meeting, yes, to approve the contract. We won't sign a contract with an architect until the building committee approves it.
And
Joe, don't we have to vote to allow you to negotiate?
that's what I was thinking. We have to do something like that.
Right. So I think in the past we have said I make a motion that we allow Joe to be the representative for the public building committee to negotiate a contract with the architect selected at Tuesday's MSBA meeting, with the help of the owner's rep, and any other discussion he wants to have with anybody else.
I think you should also schedule an SBC meeting, to confirm, if, once you come to a contract.
Right.
Correct.
Maybe if you could try to get that scheduled at the same time.
All right, well, first, why don't we deal with the motion that Chip made? Do I have a second?
All right, I'll second that.
All right, Jason, any discussion on it? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Bill? Tim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
and Phil again.
You're on mute.
Yes.
Phil. There you go.
Okay. All right, it was unanimous. What time, all right, schedule wise for the next meeting we'd have a meeting of the PBC, and then following that, we'll have a meeting of the school building committee. Does that work best for people? Or you want to do it the other way around? What works for people best?
What dates you thinking? I could go either way, just I need to know the dates, I guess.
Lynn, what are you thinking, like the beginning of September? To do these negotiations and finalize them, or what?
Oh, I would think you would want to have a contract taken care of by the beginning of September. So if you could have a meeting by the end of September, or, the end of August or the first week of September, that'd be best.
Well, Tuesday is the like
Selection.
11th? No.
Tuesday,
Tuesday's like
Tuesday the
15th.
17th.
The 15th, so how long, Lynn,
17th.
typically do you think it takes to?
I would say maybe if you had scheduled a meeting, well, I don't know. September 2nd is before the Memorial Day holiday, but that would be a good time, or maybe we could push it up.
How about the 4th? We meet on Thursdays. Oh, it is.
Well, second
Fourth of what?
is a Thursday.
The
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at my little calendar. I can barely read it.
I don't know, is that too soon before a holiday weekend?
So what date are we looking at now?
The
September.
2nd of September?
Thursday, the 2nd.
I
I'm
could
going
do
to be
Thursday the
out of
2nd.
town.
Yeah. I'm leaving the next day.
John,
Do you think, Glenn, we could do it by the 26th?
You think you can negotiate that quickly?
no,
Well, I think they have a lot of consultants to reach out to and get proposals from,
right.
because they have a big group of consultants. So
I'm just wondering if it makes sense to do it on the 9th. After Labor Day.
we could push it out, but that's, we're losing, well, maybe we're not losing that much.
Nobody's
time.
gonna work over the
No.
holiday
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, so,
Right.
yeah,
Let's move
That's
it to the
good.
9th.
that's good.
All right?
Yep.
That way, that'll give us enough time in case there is some,
Well, if you can't negotiate, you have to go to the second one, so.
right. So I get, who knows? I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
So are you thinking we would have a meeting like we did last time with the SBC first to kind of go over what the plan is, and then we vote on it after you present it to them?
Ruthie, stop.
Jim, you're not.
Sorry, guys.
I'm not going to stop, Jim.
Oh, my dog.
Calling me a dog is even worse than that. John, I think that's how we did it, didn't we? We met with the school building committee and then we met separately, but the voting members of the school building committee are just us, the permanent building committee.
Right, so I think it would be wrong, Joe, to, as
vote
much as
before
I
we-
don't like to say this,
Yeah.
to vote before and then tell them what we voted. We should at
Yeah,
least,
probably.
we should at least
Right.
try to get their input.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll meet with the school building committee first and
All
then we
that,
have the
Jason.
permanent building committee, right?
Yeah.
And we'll do that on the 9th of September.
All right.
Do we start that meeting at 6 or does both start at 7?
I think, I mean, Joe, the permanent building committee is the voting members of the school building committee. So if you had the school building committee, the permanent building committee can still vote on.
Yeah, I know.
In the same meeting, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
It should be a meeting
Oh,
of
I
both
thought you were
all at
trying to
once.
have one and then the next meeting. I didn't know.
No, there may be on the 9th, there may be discussions of the public safety building, the
Oh, I see.
DPW that has nothing to do with the school building committee.
Oh, okay. I see.
That's the reason why we do one of them and then we'll meet afterwards.
Right.
I don't
But
think. it'll be
during
that long.
the school building committee meeting, we can take a vote on the architect.
Correct. I don't think it'll be that long, to be honest, Chip.
No, because if you've already negotiated, we
Yeah.
accept the negotiation and then we,
Yeah, so I just say we'll do it at 7.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that way you won't have to call from the 128 in your car.
thank you.
Yeah,
Right, from
I
I'm
appreciate
sorry,
that.
but I
Violate the
can't,
law
I
like
can't
you
talk
did
to
last
Chip
time.
anymore. He looks like Deep Throat without any lights on in that room. I can't even see his face, so I'm not talking to him anymore.
Yeah, you know,
It got dark
I
as
have a-
when the meeting's gone on. I'm sorry
Yeah,
about
it
that.
really is. This could be actually the Dark Lord here. I'm not so sure. Now he's not even seeing.
Oh, there we go.
He shall not be
I'm
named.
sorry. It literally has been getting dark as we've been meeting. Darker and darker and darker.
Chip was better the other way. Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. So the next meeting will be September 9th. And Tom's going to talk to Julie, and I'll talk to Steve and see if we can move that to the 13th of November and do what we can. All right.
All right.
Anybody got anything else?
I have one last thing.
Yes, sir.
I move that we adjourn.
And I second.
And all in favor, click leave meeting.